Right, I want you to glance at your watches, because I'm doing this in real time. Just a few seconds ago, we entered Monaco. There's the world-famous harbour, with all the expensive yachts. The Monte Carlo Casino, and the Hotel de Paris, where Frank Sinatra used to lock swords with Errol Flynn. All around it lies France. But in just a few seconds, that's it. That was Monaco. It was literally as small as London's Hyde Park. But Monaco's always punched above its size. The last 50 years, it's been the most glamorous, the most star-studded, and the richest place on earth. Monaco may be minuscule, but thanks to the Grand Prix, Grace Kelly, and the superstars who flock here, it's got a big reputation that's transformed it into a land where money is king. How much is this going to cost me?
€1,100,000.
So that view is worth about £30 million.
Yes.
If I've got £500 million to spend, you're the man.
Absolutely.
The place is crawling with millionaires, more in fact per square metre than anywhere else on the planet.
There's probably 2,000 millionaires.
And how many billionaires?
50.
And most of them are lured here by its tax haven status. So who are these mega rich, and how do they spend their time and their money? Do you use that jacuzzi, Mohammed?
Yeah, sometimes.
Not naked, I hope.
Of course.
And just how many zeros do you need on your bank balance to live this lifestyle? You are really James Bond, aren't you?
How the hell do I answer that?
But does wealth equal happiness?
Everybody believes in money like a kind of a religion.
And what about those who don't have quite so much spare change?
I think a lot of people who are workers are being squeezed out.
Monaco doesn't often open its doors to the cameras, but I've been given a unique opportunity to scratch beneath the surface and ask how this tiny limpet of land on France's underbelly went from seaside resort for idle aristocrats to playground paradise for the absurdly affluent. If you're a rich Brit with cash to spend and taxes to avoid, then Monaco is definitely for you. After all, why don't the British government get their filthy paws in your hard-earned cash when you can splash it all out on flash cars, helicopters and big yachts? They don't just have millionaires in Monaco, they have billionaires, and lots of them. Like Sir Philip Green, the British high street king. He lives with his wife Tina around the corner here. They're so rich that they lend their private helicopter to Prince Albert. And then there's that colourful character Stelios from EasyJet. He's worth £1 billion and lives just down there. And John Hargreaves, the boss of Matalan, worth about £500 million. What might surprise you is they don't live in huge sprawling country homes or palatial villas. No big gardens here. There's simply no room in Monaco. They all live in relatively small apartments. The kind of thing that, to be honest, you might turn your nose up at. Why are these multi-millionaires prepared to slum it in a seafront shoebox? Well, a Monaco address goes hand in hand with qualifying for tax-free status, something the rich rather like because it means they get richer. Consequently, they're literally queuing up to get in. Of course, that means that property here hasn't exactly been rocked by the credit crunch. So just how much do you need to fork out for a quality pad if you're one of the big players?
These are what we're going to see.
King of real estate, Michel Dotter, is taking me to see a little something in the primest of prime locations. But stay watching, because its price tag might make your eyes water. So here we are, we're in one of Monaco's best apartments. How many rooms does this apartment have?
Okay, this flat has a big living room, dining room, 4 bedrooms.
So we go upstairs?
Yeah, if you want,
Okay.
yeah, with pleasure.
What makes this place unusual is that it has 2 levels and offers something that in Monaco is harder to find than a copy of Socialist Worker: outside space. I mean, what a view. This has to be the best view in Monaco, Michel.
Yes, this is the best view of Monaco because you are facing the palace and you are directed to the south, which means then you got sun from early morning until the end of the day with the mountain.
And when the Grand Prix is on, you can just stand and watch the cars go.
Yes, you can see the Formula One Grand Prix seated in your rocking chair and have a drink, a cup of champagne.
Let's cut to the quick here, Michel. How much, if this apartment went on the market tomorrow, how much would it be worth?
It would be roughly £60 million
For a 4-bedroom duplex.
for a 4-bedroom duplex.
How much of that 60 million for this property is the view, would you say?
I would say more than 55%.
So that view is worth about £30 million.
Yes, that's right. Good.
That's an expensive view.
Is it expensive view? Is what the people they like to have here.
Luckily, it's rarely cloudy, and with average prices of £40,000 per square metre, it's the most expensive place to live in the world. Clearly, there's no financial meltdown here. Smack bang in the centre of Monaco is the most famous area, Monte Carlo, home since the early 1900s, the legendary Monte Carlo Casino and the Hotel de Paris, 5-star, of course. It's a place to see and be seen, so naturally, it's here that I headed to have lunch with expat millionaire Mike Pegram.
And here we come, if you're going to lunch at the Hotel de Paris.
8 years ago, Mike sold his chemical business in England for £44 million. He then up sticks to Monaco, thus saving himself capital gains tax of around 13 million quid. And that's what you call a shrewd move. It is impossibly glamorous here. There's been Rolls Royces, Ferraris, Aston Martins, Lamborghinis.
It just takes a little getting used to. I think you'd get into the swing. I feel you'd be quite natural down here.
I think I'd love it here. If you fancy Mike's lifestyle, then make a fortune, become resident in Monaco, spend less than 90 days a year in the UK, and bingo, your tax bill is zero. It's what the 2,000 Brits here might call don't pay as you earn. Do you think that it is a very glamorous place, or do you think that's slightly overdone, the glamour of it all?
Well, one of the things I say about Monaco is anything that money buys, Monaco delivers very well. Whether it's 5-star hotels, restaurants, we've got a very nice cultural life as well. I'm a friend of the opera, a friend of the orchestra. On the other hand, in the last 3 weeks, I've been to Diana Ross, Celine Dion and Katie Melua.
I suppose it does make being exiled in a self-imposed tax prison slightly more bearable. What's more, do a 5-year stretch in Monaco and you're then free to return to the UK, keeping all that tax that you saved. Mike loved it so much, though, that he stayed on. In many ways, you epitomise the glamour of the Englishman who's come to live in Monaco. The Aston Martin, you're debonair, you wine and dine in the fancy restaurants. I mean, you are really James Bond, aren't you?
How the hell do I answer that? I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. Okay.
The point I was going to make was that it does seem to me, if you want to be in the game, if you want to wine and dine with people like yourself, you want to go to the casino, you want to go to the big shows, you've got to be fairly seriously well off, I would say.
Comfortable. I think you need to be comfortable.
But what would you think you'd need to really be a good cushion? 10 million?
Yes, I think you probably could manage on that, if you exclude the money you've got tied up in property.
10 million should get you by.
Yeah.
Adequate, you think?
Comfortably. With the odd highlights now and again.
Tragically, I don't have that kind of money, but coming up, I'll find out what it costs to join the yachting set.
I always say to people, never spend more than 10% of your net worth on buying a yacht.
How the pace of life in Monaco is changing fast.
Too many parked cars to the side.
And I'll get the business lowdown from a real dragon.
There has to be a prize for being successful, Piers. And maybe Monaco's
a
the
tax
prize.
haven with more millionaires per square metre than anywhere else in the world. And in the planet's most expensive property market, a room with a view will set you back an arm, a leg, and most of your torso. How did this pocket-sized principality get to be such a big player? And when no one bats an eyelid at 10 million, to Just how much cash do you need to stand out in the crowd?
The crucial thing about yachts is that size really does matter. That's about a 55-metre yacht, pretty big, pretty imposing. That's a bit bigger. Bag girl. 60-odd metres, I would say. But in all honesty, that's not a yacht. That is a yacht.
At 105 metres, Lady Mora dominates the harbour. And when she was built for a Saudi businessman in 1990, she was the biggest yacht in the world. Today, she's worth £250 million. It's what you might call a floating asset.
Does size really matter?
It only matters up to the point that you might want to have something a bit bigger than your next door neighbour. And of course, the annoying thing is if your next door neighbour builds something bigger, then you've got to build another one.
And does that go on?
It certainly does. I mean, the average...
Nick Edmiston, known locally as Mr. Yacht, is the leading boat broker in town. He's your man if you're after something nautical but nice.
This harbour is astonishing. I like some of the more expensive, high-end propositions that we've got
Well,
here.
the big boat coming into the harbour right now, and the new cost of a boat like that today is between, say, 40 and 45 million euros.
Really?
I always say to people, never spend more than 10% of your net worth on buying a yacht.
So you should be worth a lot of money to buy one of those, 400 million.
Yeah, we do, you know, say $500 million is an easy round figure.
So if I've got $500 million to spend, you're the man.
Absolutely. Or if you've got more to spend.
And as the credit crunch bites around the world, is there much sign of it in Monaco Harbour?
I think the honest answer is no, at the moment there's not. I mean, I think it would be foolish for me to say that there will never be any sign of it, but, you know, even if you look back into the 1930s, in the height of the recession there, rich people were spending a lot of money, and the fact is the rich like spending money when other people are not spending it.
Perched on a rock overlooking Monaco is the home of its greatest asset, the royal family. The Grimaldis have ruled here pretty much continuously since they seized the fortress over 700 years ago. 650 of those years were spent in relative anonymity. But in 1956, the then ruler, Prince Rainier III, married Hollywood movie star Grace Kelly in a fairy tale wedding that was watched around the world by 30 million viewers. It was the PR coup of the century. Overnight, the golden age of Monaco took off, and it went from obscurity to a brand that became synonymous with glamour and elegance. Grace gave Monaco the cachet that money just can't buy. It ended in tragedy 26 years later, when the car that Grace was driving plunged down a cliff. But her legacy lives on through her children, Princesses Caroline and Stephanie, and the current ruler, Prince Albert. Albert, now 51, succeeded his father in 2005. His photo hangs in every public building, not because it's law, but because the people genuinely believe that he is the key to maintaining Monaco's future. What do I really need to get noticed in Monaco?
So Bruno, look, I want to buy a new car and I need one that fits my personal brand. What would you suggest?
Hello, I have one car for you. It's an exceptional car. It's a Bugatti Veyron.
Exceptional is almost an understatement. The Bugatti Veyron has a top speed of 253 miles per hour and is the most expensive car in the world. But get this, there are 6 of them currently registered in the square mile of Monaco.
I suppose, look, the real question, Bruno, is how much is this going to cost me?
It's 1,100,000 euro without tax.
What? 1,100,000 euro without tax.
Exactly.
At the same price as the watch, the car suddenly looks a bit of a bargain.
And you can't do me a discount?
I know, no, sorry for this car. It's exceptional to have one car available in the market.
Well, Bruno,
yes.
You got a deal.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, I've bought the best car, the best boat, the best watch and the best pad. I've spent £162 million in the process. But it's all been worth it, because now I'm the daddy. Or am I? One man who can put things into perspective is James Kahn of Dragon's Den. He's been coming here on business for over 10 years and recently invested in Avalus, a Monaco company that specialises in providing luxury travel for the mega wealthy.
How competitive is it down here? Because You meet a very rich guy and he's got $1 billion in the bank, and then Philip Green walks around the corner, he's got $4 billion. So, I mean, the guy with $1 billion suddenly feels rather cheap and poor.
I think everything beyond 100 million, Piers, is actually irrelevant. If you've got 100 million, there is only so much you can do. I mean, how many mobile phones can you carry?
I mean, you say that, but take Roman Abramovich, that's his boat there, and it's parked in Aix, round the corner from Monaco, because it's simply too big to get into the harbour. Now, he's got 3 like that, and he's building an even bigger one, the world's biggest yacht. And you can't help thinking that the only reason he's doing this is to be top dog.
That concept of competition exists amongst probably the world's 50 richest people. And of course, at that level, it's about the biggest private plane, the biggest yacht, the biggest mansion. But I think for us mere mortals...
For the mere 100 million bracket.
That's right.
It's a different game.
And remember, Piers, in Monaco, there's probably 2,000 millionaires. I mean, 2,000 millionaires is a reasonable number.
And how many billionaires?
I would say probably now 50.
50 billionaires.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt.
2,000 million.
Monaco today does seem like utopia for those who can afford it, that is. But incredibly, back in the mid-19th century, the country was on its knees. One of the poorest places in Europe, a lot ropier than utopia. Its saviour was the building of the Monte Carlo Casino in 1863. Within just a few years, it was generating so much money that Monaco was able to abolish income tax. And there's further protection for the monegasques, as those born and bred here are known. It's illegal for them to gamble in their own casino. 2 perfect examples of how the house always wins. Inside, there are 6 exquisite gaming rooms. If you're a high roller and want to play in secret, there are plenty of private gambling dens behind mirror panels.
Do you think people here are happy?
Many of the people I've met, I would say absolutely not. There's a lot of old guys here with very young girls, and if they're not hookers, they're on a wage, or they're on what they might call an allowance, and they usually end up in the separation with an apartment and a car, and then they move on to the next guy, or as Jackie Mason might say, the next schmuck. You know, so it's really... That to me is kind of the rhythm of this place in a lot of ways. Of course, there are perfectly respectable families here.
If there is a lot of sex going on, it's going to have to be confined to pretty small bedrooms, because the main downside to life in Monaco is a lack of space. And with more millionaires than you can shake a stick at clamoring to get in, every inch is worth a fortune.
Down there is Fontvieille, the most exclusive part of Monaco, with its amazing apartments, its fabulous waterside restaurants, the obligatory luxury yachts. It's where David Coulthard lives, and the property and newspaper tycoons, the Barclay brothers. The most extraordinary part of Fontvieille is that until the early 70s, that was all sea. It just didn't exist.
By reclaiming more land, Monaco is hoping to create many more Fontvieilles in the future. But until they do, places to live are going to remain pretty hard to come by. Consequently, finding somewhere that's actually for sale is easier said than done. And that's why 70% of people in Monaco rent, including the likes of Shirley Bassey, Ringo Starr, and even Monaco's richest resident, Sir Philip Green. They all live in apartments that will set you back a tidy £25,000 a month. Much as I'd like to live next door to our Shirl, with prices like that, I wonder whether a starter flat at the lower end of the market would be the smarter option. Miles Mordaunt, our marketing millionaire, this time in his runaround car, took me to see something in a lesser part of town.
Come on in. Prepare yourself. Come on through to the lounge.
The view is sumptuous. I mean,
yeah,
of all the views on the French Riviera,
I think
other people's dirty washing and a building site.
Personal space seems to be less important here.
I mean, to put it mildly.
Miles is converting this studio into a one-bed flat to make it more desirable.
Here is your expansive kitchen, which I think almost up to the sides. How much are you asking for this?
This is for sale for 1.5 million euros.
You're joking?
No.
You're serious?
Yeah, and I think it'll actually go fairly quickly.
1.5 million euros?
Yes.
Over 1.2 million pounds? for
47 square metres of luxury.
The Monaco Grand Prix is the most glamorous motor race in the world, and David Coulthard has won it twice.
You're quite aggressive on acceleration.
Yeah, I like looking at it. When in Rome and all that.
Use the horses.
I mean, incredibly glamorous when you come through here. When you're in a racing car.
It's just the ultimate glamorous Grand Prix. It's everything that a Grand Prix should be.
The Grand Prix started in 1929, and as you can see, was as glamorous then as it is now. OK, well, maybe not, but it was a long time ago. What is true is that it instantly captured the world's imagination, and today is broadcast to 100 million people. For Monaco's image, it's a marketing gem.
I've got to say, on behalf of every tabloid newspaper, thank you for everything you did for us, because you were perfect. You were the racing driver who liked spending money, partying, and lots of pretty girls.
It was great. It was fantastic because you had the safety of being able to go out, enjoy yourself, enjoy all the trappings of success, but knowing that you were only 1 kilometre from your apartment if you needed to head home quickly, and knowing that you weren't going to get into too much trouble. Whereas when I was taking that sort of party to London, you know, you spend a night with someone, you think, hear nothing more of it, and then before you know it, I'm on the cover of the newspaper.
I didn't have to look far. Moored nearby in the harbour is the yacht The Diner and Dodi famously spent their last holiday on. And on board is equally famous and seriously wealthy owner, Mohammed Al Fayed. And circling us, the sailing boat that was once Dodi's pride and joy.
Do you use that jacuzzi, Mohammed?
Yeah, sometimes.
Not naked, I hope.
Of course. You like to try?
Not on camera, I don't know. I don't want to embarrass
we
you.
have bikinis here.
So this is the big command desk, yeah? Do you ever drive it yourself, Mohammed?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
But it's very complicated, you know. It's all electronics,
It
you
is,
know.
isn't it? It's amazing. Yeah. And is he an easy boss to work for?
Yes, fantastic. 25 years.
Really?
Yeah.
You look all right, as though you're not too damaged by this experience. We're on your boat. I've spent the entire week in Monaco trying to find a genuine, bona fide, stinking rich billionaire. And here you are.
Thank you.
What I didn't know about you was that Monaco is actually a very special place to you.
Yeah.
You've been here over 40 years.
That's right.
As a resident, and your boat's moored in the harbour. And in those early days, it was impossibly glamorous. I mean, you had Liz Taylor and Richard Burton used to moor their boat next to yours.
Yeah.
And you were there. You were part of that scene.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Grace Kelly was there with Richard and Elizabeth.
What was she like, Grace Kelly?
Spectacular woman, very human, down to earth, always laughing, great sense of humor.
In many ways, the parallel with Grace Kelly and Monaco is very similar to the effect that Diana had on England. Both ended in tragedy, obviously, but you knew them both, very unusually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Grace Kelly, just very, very ordinary person. People loved her. Diana was, for me, is a saint, you know. She's just a spectacular woman again. God blessed her with so many humanity and caring, and is a memory for me. When I come, I just still feel their soul still moving around the place. Diana loves Diana, jokes running everywhere, you know, and her favorite place is up there. She was there basically 10 hours, 8 hours a day.
Sunbathing.
Sunbathing.
What do you think the future of Monaco is going to be, Mohammed?
I think we'll stay. It will stay forever. We've been here for a few hundred years. And then also for Prince Albert, you know. He's loved, he's cared by the people. No one will dare to do anything to the place because he's so popular, you know.
He's incredibly popular.
Yeah. Grace Kelly have put in her case. She loved them, she cared about them. She gave them a lot of principle in life. And she grew up with this quality, which she have. And it's a blessing for Monaco that she was here and married Prince René. It was tremendous.
So what have I learned about Monaco? Well, it's very clean. There's no litter or graffiti. The sun always shines. There's little crime to speak of, and it's very private. But let's face it, the main reason that most people live here is to avoid paying tax. That kind of sticks in my gullet a bit, to be honest. I mean, after all, I pay tax, and so do most of you. But before I went back to the world of pollution, paparazzi, freezing rain and PAYE, this question still bugged me. So I turned once again to Dragon James Khan for the answer.
There'll be lots of people watching this programme who will be thinking, these bastards, why should they not pay any tax, like me?
Well, let's be honest, Piers, the choice that they took is a choice that's available to everybody.
Yeah, but James, come off it, look. It is not openly available to 95% of the British population to come out and live in Monaco. Apart from anything else, a croissant would break the bank.
There has to be a price for being successful, Piers. You know, what's the point in working so hard all of your life if there isn't a prize at the